I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? Hope you're doing well, feeling blessed, having a good day, having a good week. We're back with Namajunas taking on Tracy Cortez in the main event. Before we get into breaking down matchups, making picks, we look at my bets from the last card. Because, guys, I've been on a heater. So, did I win the last card? Yes, I did. Let's go. And guys, winning the last UFC event actually now puts me at 19 UFC betting wins on my last 25. Which is pretty good. 19 out of 25. That's pretty good. So if you want my bets on this card, the only way to do that is to join the Patreon. This video is a breakdown and prediction video. This video doesn't tell you who I'm betting on, who I'm personally putting money on. But going over to the Patreon will do that. So like I said, we're 19 wins on our last 25. And to look at the bets on the last card, my only loss was Charles Jourdain. So the only loss was to Gene Silva, and Gene Silva's on this card, which is very interesting. Now before we get into making predictions, we go to Money City. Guys, if you see your name on the screen, you already know, that's money. And shout out to the homies in the Discord, the guys that are putting in the work in the Discord. Guys, I haven't even got the screenshots from the people in the Discord, but the work on my last card, and the cards before that, just pure money. Let's do it again, let's go. Now moving into the first matchup of the card, we've got Josh Fremd taking on Ange Petroski, and this matchup kind of difficult to predict because Petroski's very decent, right? His grappling's good, his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, his ability to bring the opponent to the mat and essentially dominate them with his grappling, right? The anaconda choke, his jiu-jitsu, it's very decent. However, his cardio's not great, right? Once he gets past like the first 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes, you really see Ange Petroski start to slow down. And if he starts to slow down against someone like Josh Fremd, I'm not saying Josh Fremd is like a Nate Diaz cardio monster, but if Ange Petroski starts to slow down, Josh Fremd's grappling isn't that bad, right? You're seeing that against Anthony Hernandez in his UFC debut. Anthony Hernandez is a guy that can wrestle. He can wrestle round in, round out, right? Cardio monster, workhorse monster. And Josh Fremd kind of competed with Anthony Hernandez. And he also has his moments against like Cedric Dumas, you know, takes Dumas to the mat, submits Dumas, beats Jamie Pickett, who Jamie Pickett is one of the worst of all time. But yeah, man, Josh Fremd isn't the worst. He's not terrible. He hasn't fought in 9 months since Roman Kopylov dusted him with a nasty liver shot, but yeah, Josh Fremd ain't that bad. And neither is Ange Petroski, right? Petroski's not bad either, but I kind of feel like for Petroski to win the fight, to get back to winning ways, because he's had 7 UFC fights, won 5, lost 2. He's currently on a 2-fight losing streak, right? Coming to Michel Pereira and also Jacob Malkoun. But guys, for Ange Petroski to get back to winning ways, he has to impose his grappling, impose his jiu-jitsu, because that's what he was doing before, you know, fighting Michel Pereira and also Jacob Malkoun. But can he do that to someone like Josh Fremd? Potentially in round 1, potentially in round 2. He could also get an early stoppage, right? But if he slows down, if he starts to slow down, that's where the adversity comes, right? That's where the problems start to come. And Josh Fremd, like I said, he's really not that bad. He's not the best, he's not the worst, but yeah, this one's more of a pick'em, really. Guys, gun to the head. You know, we've had a week off, right? We're coming back. And I feel like we're starting with a gun to the head prediction. Guys, for me personally, I'm going to side with Josh Fremd. Josh Fremd's going to be my prediction, but I'm not going to bet this fight. We don't need to bet this fight. It's too much of a pick'em, in my opinion. But yeah, Josh Fremd. Give me Josh Fremd as the pick. Now moving into a matchup between Montel Jackson taking on Blackshear. Very decent matchmaking by the UFC once again. Very decent matchmaking. Guys, Montel Jackson, he's a little bit inactive. Very inactive, right? 5 fights ago, he was fighting Brett Johns. So, not the most active, quite inactive. However, there's still things about Montel Jackson that I like, that I would like to see more, right? Make him more active, get him more fights. I don't know why this guy's not fighting. You know what I'm saying? He's good. His wrestling's okay. His takedown defense isn't the best, and you can kind of see that in a few of his fights, right? Gets taken to the mat. And that's also something Blackshear probably looks to do against Montel Jackson. And the reason as to why that is, Blackshear is a grappler. His grappling is very decent. His jiu-jitsu. We're seeing that against Jose Johnson, right? He gets a twister submission against Jose Johnson. And I know Jose Johnson has the takedown defense of a newborn baby giraffe. I know that. But anytime you get a twister submission against anybody, you essentially let the UFC fans know, look, I know what to do on the ground. I know what to do in the grappling. I know what to do at a very, very high level. And that's what Blackshear has kind of displayed. He's kind of shown that. However, his cardio is not the best. And that's why I actually bet against him when he fought Mario Batista. Mario Batista started to really box him up, really piece him up later in that fight. And I also think, you know, Montel Jackson could do the same thing, right? His boxing is much better than Blackshear's. But Blackshear is a better kicker than Montel Jackson. So guys, to summarize this matchup, what you've got here, a very decent matchup where Montel Jackson has the reach, has the height. I know it says both of them are 5'10", but I want to see that. I want to see the face-offs. I want to see who's taller. Montel Jackson typically has the height and reach, right? He's going to have the boxing against Blackshear. He's also going to have the power advantage, potentially, right? When he touches the chin of Blackshear, especially later in the fight, I think he could drop Blackshear. But guys, looking at the game plan that Blackshear is going to bring to this matchup, he's going to attempt to get Montel Jackson to the mat. Once he gets him to the mat, he's going to look for the back, look for the neck, the arm, the leg. Whatever Montel Jackson presents, he's going to look to finish the fight, right? He's going to look for submission attacks, especially early in the fight. If the matchup stays on the feet, that's where Montel Jackson has more chance, more opportunity to really cause adversity for Blackshear. But Blackshear is also going to attempt to kick the lead leg of Montel Jackson, take away the base, take away that lead leg from the boxer. Because once you compromise the footwork, once you compromise the movement of the boxer, you kind of take away their boxing. You know, you crumble the whole game plan, the whole boxing game plan, because they can't plant on that lead leg. And to sit down on punches, to really dig to the opponent's body, to really try to stop the opponent with your hands, you need to sit down on your punches. And to sit down on your punches, it requires 2 feet. It requires 2 legs, right? I want you to take away that leg, that lead leg from the boxer. Then you put him in a world of trouble. So this matchup's going to be a very decent matchup. However, the prediction for me personally, give me Montel Jackson. That's the pick. Now moving into a matchup between Luana Santos taking on Mariya Agapova. And guys, what we're seeing with Luana Santos so far in her UFC career, just 2 fights into her career, she's not bad. She's definitely not bad. This is low-level women's mixed martial arts, right? It's low-level. It's women's mixed martial arts. It's a difficult thing to predict, right? We know that. We know that. We've got a lot of experience with trying to make sense of women's mixed martial arts. It's very difficult. However, looking at Luana Santos in her UFC debut, you can see that Juliana Miller's defense, her defense on the feet, it was just so bad. Luana Santos went into that fight and just showed us, look, this girl can't stand on the feet. This girl's got massive striking defensive holes in her game, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to pick her apart, and I'm actually going to get a standing TKO. That's what she done. Then she went into a fight against Stephanie Egger, who's a little bit better than Juliana Miller. And she also showed us, look, Stephanie Egger, she's got nothing on the feet. Where's this girl striking? It's nowhere to be seen, right? And guys, something to mention for Luana Santos against Stephanie Egger. She kind of got tired against Stephanie Egger. But it doesn't really matter to get tired against someone that can't strike, right? Stephanie Egger can't strike. So if you're tired and she can't strike, it doesn't matter. But against someone that can strike, someone that can throw the jab, land the 1-2s, go to the body, land the calf kicks, someone that can land multiple boxing combinations against someone that's tired, that's a massive problem, a real problem. And in this case here, Mariya Agapova, this girl can box. Her boxing's very fast, the output's good, her jab's good, the 1-2. Her kickboxing is very decent. What's not decent in the game of Mariya Agapova is her ground game. Once you get Mariya Agapova to the mat, she's terrible on the mat. You see that multiple times, right? You see that against Shana Dobson. Guys, Mariya Agapova was like minus 1,000 against Shana Dobson. And she got melted. She got dusted on the mat. Gillian Robertson also dusted her on the mat. Marina Moroz dusted her on the mat. So would it be wise for Luana Santos to essentially, you know, bring Mariya Agapova to the mat? Would that be wise? Probably, right? Because you're exploiting the opponent's weakness. And that's what you want to do. You want to go to the cage, Fight to your strengths, yes, but also exploit the opponent's weakness, right? Find the path to least resistance. Find the best way to win the fight. And in my opinion, and in most people's opinions, you know, just looking at the tape, it would be wise for Luana Santos to grapple with Mariya Agapova. And I believe she does do that. She probably does do that. If the matchup stays on the feet and Luana Santos starts to fatigue, then, you know, Mariya Agapova, she might remind people, she might show people, look, I can box. I can box better than this girl. And that's something that Luana Santos did against Miller. That may happen to her on the feet. And that's why I'm saying, bring the opponent to the mat and find the win. Find the neck. Find the arm. Find a submission. Give me the Brazilian, Luana Santos. Now, guys, moving into a matchup between Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Fatima Kline, who's making a short notice UFC debut. And, guys, I'm actually excited to speak about Fatima Kline. You know who she kind of reminds me of? Just a little bit. She kind of reminds me of Josephine Knudsen in the same sense that she's a prospect. You know, Josephine Knudsen, she's a prospect, and so is Fatima Kline. And they both have similar skill sets. They both have very good, beautiful Muay Thai. The Muay Thai striking, the ability to land the punches, then to end the combination with the kick. It's a beautiful Muay Thai thing, right? And we see that a lot in the game of Fatima Kline. And also, you see the grappling, the wrestling. Her wrestling and grappling is arguably better than her Muay Thai. But then again, maybe not. Maybe her striking and grappling is as good as each other, right? She's a very well-rounded prospect. However, she's facing someone that's very experienced, someone that can grapple, someone that can really wrestle in Jasmine Jasudavicius, right? This girl's a mauler, really. Once she gets you to the mat and imposes her wrestling, imposes her top game, she can be a real problem for just about anybody in the weight class, right? And especially someone that's, you know, quite inexperienced and also taking the fight on short notice like Fatima Kline. She may be a problem in that sense, you know, push her against the fence, take her to the mat and essentially make the fight all about wrestling, all about grappling. That's what Jasmine Jasudavicius wants to do. However, when Jasmine Jasudavicius is made to strike, if she's made to stay on the feet, that's where you're seeing the weaknesses. That's where you're seeing the holes in the game of Jasmine Jasudavicius. Her striking defense is just not that good. She'll kind of walk herself into the punches, right? And her head movement, her non-existent head movement is kind of the reason as to why she's kind of slow on the feet. She's not a striker. And we see that. We see that time and time again in the game of Jasmine Jasudavicius. Yes, she's going to walk forward, but she wants to walk forward to initiate the grappling, push you against the fence. Because she understands, look, if I'm on the feet and I'm not walking forward, then how do I get the takedown? How do I set it up? I've got to be aggressive. I've got to walk forward. Yes, I may get hit. Yes, my defensive striking may show to be poor, but the goal is to get the opponent to the mat. The goal is to push the opponent against the fence. And that's how I'm going to impose my game. That's how I'm going to, you know, win rounds, win the fight. So guys, is there a chance that Jasmine Jasudavicius can impose her game plan? You know, push the opponent against the fence, bring her to the mat, and essentially let the prospect know, look, this is a step up in competition on short notice. You're not going to win the fight. I've got too much experience. My wrestling's too good. And you're going to be stuck against the fence. You're going to be dealing with a Jasmine Jasudavicius type of game plan. Can Jasmine do that? There's absolutely a chance she does that this weekend. There's absolutely a chance. However, I'm just in love with the well-rounded skill set of Fatima Kline. I love the Muay Thai. Guys, if you listen to my breakdowns week in, week out, I'm team Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai. And because of that, I'd have to take Fatima Kline to essentially dust up Jasmine Jasudavicius. You know, if we're on the feet, watch the combinations, watch the clean Muay Thai masterclass that Fatima Kline potentially puts on. But obviously, working off the fence, working off the mat, these are things that Fatima Kline potentially has to do in order to win this short notice UFC debut. Give me Fatima Kline. Now guys, moving into a matchup, a very decent matchup. We've got Charles Johnson taking on Joshua Van. And I actually want to recap the whole of Josh Van's UFC career and the whole of Charles Johnson's UFC career. And then we're going to make a prediction. So starting with Joshua Van, we're seeing in his UFC debut against Alhassan, it was a close fight, very close. But what we got to learn with Josh Van in that UFC debut, what we got to learn was, you know, as the fight progresses, Josh Van just gets better and better. His boxing, in round one, it's okay. It's nothing special. You know, round one, you're watching Josh Van and you're thinking, you know, there's nothing too special about Josh Van. But as the fight progresses, as he gets into round two, that's where he really starts to box. That's where he really starts to cook the opponent, right? And we even see that in his second fight. We see that against Peruvian Kev. Round one, it's not the best. It's not great. But then he starts to cook the opponent. Then he starts to rip to the body. And he even sets a record for most body punches against Kevin Borjas, right? And that's because Joshua Van just cooks the opponent. His round one's not great, right? Round one, nothing special. But then he starts to really put the pressure on. Then he goes from second gear to third gear to fourth gear. Starts to put even more pressure on the opponent. Starts to box. Starts to break down the opponent to the body. Specifically to the breadbasket. To the midsection, right? And that's what you want to do. Because some of these fighters, they can take punches to the head like it's breakfast. But once you start to go to the body, that's where they start to fatigue. That's where they start to break down. And Joshua Van knows that. You know, he'll walk forward, break the opponent down to the body. And you even see that against Felipe Bunez, right? Round one, again, it's not great. But then he starts to break down the opponent into round two. So guys, what we're learning so far with Josh Van is something very dangerous. And the danger with Josh Van is he gets better as the fight progresses. If round one's okay for you, understand round two is going to be much worse. It's almost like when you fight Josh Van, you have to understand the fight starts round two, right? Round two is not the time to start fatiguing, start to decline in performance. Round two is the time where you have to up your performance and get better as the fight progresses, because that's what Josh Van's going to do. You have to match that. If you don't match that, then you're going to get cooked. And so far, these fighters are getting cooked. Josh Van's good. Now, guys, Charles Johnson, in my opinion, a little bit disappointing. A little bit disappointing. I think at times his output is kind of dusty. His wrestling at times kind of dusty. You see that against Cody Durden. You see that against Estevan. But guys, to the credit of Charles Johnson, most recently, he has looked good. He went in there and dusted up Jake Hadley. Jake Hadley initially started well, but Charles Johnson took over, started to outbox Jake Hadley. And then he also... previous to the Jake Hadley fight, he beat a prospect in Asa Maxim, where he actually got dropped in round one and then works his way back into the fight. Asa Maxim starts to slow down and, you know, shows the experience that Charles Johnson has. So recently, he's looked very good. But against someone like Josh Van, you have to understand that the fight's not going to get easier. And that was the case against Jake Hadley. And that was the same case against Asa Maxim. It got easier past round one. That's not the case against Josh Van. The fight gets more difficult. So for Charles Johnson to go in there and to win this matchup, in my opinion, it would be very impressive. It would be very, very impressive. If Charles Johnson beats Josh Van, that means he's beat Asa Maxim, Jake Hadley and Josh Van. And at that point, you'd have to say, Charles Johnson starting to really show his potential in the UFC. I'd have to say that. I'd really have to say that. But guys, in my opinion, the guy Josh Van, the guy just gets better. His boxing, the way he breaks the opponent down to the body as the fight progresses. I've got to go with that. I've got to go with Josh Van. That's the pick. Now guys, first fight in the main card, we've got Cody Brundage taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. And this is quite an interesting fight. And I'm also going to potentially surprise some people with my prediction. Because every time Cody Brundage fights, I always mention that he's one of the worst fighters on the roster. I always do that. But recently, against Bo Nickel, yes, he got dusted. Yes, it was a shark against a goldfish. But the goldfish kind of competed, right? Yes, he lost. He lost that fight. But Bo Nickel should have made it a much easier fight. It should have been more dominant. It wasn't. It wasn't. And that kind of makes me think, you know, is Cody Brundage going to beat Abdul Razak Alhassan? Is he going to go in there, impose his wrestling, take the back of Alhassan? Is Cody Brundage going to potentially start a win streak? Potentially. Maybe. Maybe he does, right? Because Alhassan, this guy's getting old. He's getting very old. Yes, he's got big knockout power, right? His cardio's not the best. Same with Cody Brundage. Both guys are going to get tired, especially at high elevation, especially in Denver, Colorado. They're going to get tired. But who can find the win when they're tired? It's almost like a chess match. And guys, I've mentioned that I've recently started playing chess, starting to learn the game of chess. And it's very similar to real combat, physical combat, not intellectual combat, because that's chess, but physical combat. That's fighting. It's very, very similar. And sometimes what you find in chess is the opening is good, and that would be round 1, right? And then you get into the middle game of the chess match, and that's round 2. And then you get into the end game, the final round. And sometimes the final round, it can be tied. You can be tied going into the final round. You could be, the same pieces on the board. No one's winning, no one's losing. But it just takes one mistake, and someone's going to make that mistake. Right? And if both guys are tired, if Abdul Razak Alhassan is tired into a late round 2, into the final round, which he will be at Denver, Colorado, and the same thing with Cody Brundage, both guys are going to get tired. Who's going to make that mistake leading to the loss? Who's going to make the mistake? And who's going to capitalize on that mistake to find the win? Guys, in my opinion, confidence, it's big, right? And that may be the case with Cody Brundage. Yes, he lost to Bo Nickel, but Bo Nickel's a superstar. This guy's going to fight for a title. There's positives that Cody Brundage can take from that fight. It's almost like a chess player going into a match against a grandmaster, and they compete. They have a good opening. They have a good middle game, but then they start to, get dusted, right? And that was the case for Cody Brundage. But against Abdul Razak Alhassan, someone that hasn't got the wrestling pedigree that Bo Nickel has. He doesn't have the same cardio as Bo Nickel. He doesn't have the same dominance, right? It's not the same level of fighter. It's not the same level of opponent. And if you're finding positives against Bo Nickel, that may be enough to start a win streak. That may be enough to go in there and to get a win against past prime Abdul Razak Alhassan. Now, there is a chance that Alhassan just knocks Cody Brundage dead. There's absolutely a chance he does that. He's got big knockout power. But taking the fight into round 2, getting to the point where both of you are tired, but you're the one that capitalizes on the mistake that Alhassan may make. Cody Brundage could take his back, right? I just kind of think the momentum and confidence that Cody Brundage may take from the performance against Bo Nickel. And again, it's a loss. It's a loss against Bo Nickel. But you've just got to look at your performance. How did I lose? How did I compete? Did I have positives in the loss? And that was the case for Cody Brundage. So in my opinion, give me the underdog. I'm not going to bet it, but that's the pick. Give me Cody Brundage. Now, guys, moving into a matchup between Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod, the prospect killer. Christian Rodriguez, this guy's the real deal. His boxing is very good, right? He can stand and trade in the pocket. Christian Rodriguez, this guy's good, man. Even on the mat, the grappling, the wrestling, it's all good work from C-Rod. Now, guys, I've got one bet at the moment on this card, just one bet. It's not Christian Rodriguez, it's not C-Rod, but I'm kind of thinking, should I have C-Rod on my lineup? Should C-Rod be on my lineup? Because this guy kills the prospects. This guy is a prospect, right? And Julian Erosa has the experience. He's more the veteran. And I also cashed Julian Erosa as an underdog, a nice underdog against Ricardo Ramos, where he pulled off a nice guillotine choke. And that's happened 2 times in a row to Ricardo Ramos. And Julian Erosa was one of them, right? He goes in there, gets an upset win. But guys, can he go in there and do the same thing against Christian Rodriguez? Can he do to C-Rod what C-Rod has been doing to Raul Rosas Jr., to, Cameron Simon against the Midwest Chopper? Can Julian Erosa, the veteran, the experienced fighter, go in there and dish out some of C-Rod's medicine to C-Rod? Can he do that? There is a chance, but also the striking defense of Julian Erosa, it's never been good, right? He leaves his chin in the sky. And when you do that against someone that's so technically clean, so good with the hands, so good with the boxing, when you do that against someone like C-Rod, right, you're going to get exposed. You're going to get clipped. You're going to get dusted. And guys, again, I'd kind of compare it to chess, where you've got an opponent that's very tricky. They're playing their tricks, but because of their tricks, they're leaving holes in their defense. And that's kind of what I see with Julian Erosa. He just leaves his chin in the sky as he's trying to do what he's doing on the feet. And against someone like C-Rod, you're going to get clipped. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the prediction for me, it's got to be C-Rod. Now, moving into a matchup between Gabriel Bonfim taking on Ange Loosa. And guys, Gabriel Bonfim, this guy's very dangerous. He's very dangerous on the feet, very dangerous on the mat. His guillotine choke, his jiu-jitsu, his boxing, it's all very, very dangerous. Now, some people may say, well, did you see his last fight? He was a massive favourite and he lost that fight. he fell off a cliff, right? Cardio-wise, his cardio just turned to dust. However, I think we should give a lot of credit to Nicolas Dalby for really being able to compete at such a higher pace. Yes, Nicolas Dalby was getting dominated early in the fight, but his pace, that's really what made Gabriel Bonfim get tired, right? Because early in that fight, Bonfim was dominating. It was kind of looking like Bonfim was going to stop the fight. But Nicolas Dalby, with his veteran experience, he just competed at such a high pace. Now, Ange Loosa, as you see against Bryan Battle in his last fight, he got dusted from start to finish. Ange Loosa, he got dusted. You're seeing that he's always exhausted in that final round. You know, against Reece McKee, nearly got stopped in the final round. Against AJ Fletcher, same thing, right? Nearly stopped in the final round. So let's say Ange Loosa tried to compete at such a high pace, similar to Nicolas Dalby. If he tried to fight at such a higher pace, then he'd be exhausted even sooner than what he normally is, which isn't going to be a good thing against a killer, someone so dangerous like Gabriel Bonfim. So guys, in my opinion, for Ange Loosa to actually win this fight, to actually win this weekend, he's got to go in there and stop Gabriel Bonfim in round one. If he doesn't find a round one stoppage, you know, how's he going to beat Gabriel Bonfim? He doesn't have better jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have better wrestling. Even the hands, even the boxing, it's not better than Gabriel Bonfim. So guys, in my opinion, if Ange Loosa doesn't find a round one stoppage, doesn't get the fight stopped early in the fight, then how does he win? He's not going to outbox Gabriel Bonfim. He's not going to out-grapple him. He's not going to outwork him. He doesn't have the pace to do that. He can't make Bonfim tired the way Nicolas Dalby made him tired. So how does he win the fight? He's got to stop the fight in round one. And if he does that, then all the credit. But in my opinion, it seems like a get-right spot for Gabriel Bonfim. You know, you lost to a veteran. You lost to someone that has so much experience. But Ange Loosa can't replicate that same game plan. And because of that, we're going to see Gabriel Bonfim essentially dust up Ange Loosa. Essentially pick up where Bryan Battle left off. You know what I'm saying? So give me the Brazilian. Give me Gabriel Bonfim. Guys, moving into a matchup here, we've got Drew Dober taking on Gene Silva. And Gene Silva recently gave me a loss on my last card. My only loss, right? Won all of my bets except Charles Jourdain. And Gene Silva was the reason that I didn't win that bet. And what I learned about Gene Silva, I'll tell you what I learned. He doesn't only have power, but he has accuracy, he has timing, and he has technique. He has those things. And I didn't really appreciate those things in the game of Gene Silva when I made that bet on Charles Jourdain. But now I've seen it. Now I've seen the accuracy, the timing, the precision. I've seen it in the game of Gene Silva. And I'm very impressed, right? What he done to Charles Jourdain, it was beautiful work. It has to be said. The uppercut that he put away Charles Jourdain with, it was such a beautiful uppercut. The timing, the accuracy, the precision, and also the power to go with the technique. It's what you want. You want purpose to the strikes. You want to throw strikes that really mean something. And Gene Silva, I'd have to say, he is doing that, right? He done that against Charles Jourdain. And what's so interesting is Drew Dober. This guy puts his chin on the line. He's always put his chin on the line. You know, his chin durability. He's known for having a granite chin. However, against Matt Frivola, he got stopped. He got dropped, right? Against Terence McKinney, in round one, he nearly gets stopped. So there's kind of a narrative, kind of a question to ask on Drew Dober. Is his chin durability starting to fade? Because guys, as we know, the chin, it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. As it absorbs more damage, it doesn't get better. It starts to fade. And we may be seeing that now with Drew Dober, which is kind of concerning considering he's taken on someone that has so much accuracy, so much precision with the punches. And guys, you don't want your chin to be fading, going in there on short notice against someone like that. But that is the case. That is the case here. We've got a barn burner where Gene Silva will find the chin. He will find his best shots. But guys, what happens to Gene Silva past round one? We saw that he got a round two stoppage against Charles Jourdain, right? He was losing the whole of round one, drops Jourdain at the end of round one. Then he starts to essentially win round two. But against someone like Drew Dober, someone so experienced, someone that's so willing to fight, if Gene Silva gets tired, if he lands his best shots early and Drew Dober's still there, then Drew Dober might start to teach him. He might start to show him, look, you're good, but I'm too experienced. I've been here too long. But guys, in my opinion, like I said, the chin of Drew Dober is starting to fade. And I love the precision. I love the accuracy of Gene Silva. So I'm going to go with Gene Silva. I learnt my lesson. And I think he can drop Drew Dober. Now guys, moving into the co-main event, we've got Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Muslim Salikhov. And guys, if this matchup happened, say, 5 years ago, it would be a very, very interesting fight. As of right now, the matchup is kind of a retirement fight. I'm just going to be honest. It's kind of a retirement fight because Santiago Ponzinibbio is way past his prime. And so is Muslim Salikhov. Muslim Salikhov's cardio is so dusty. So dusty. And Santiago Ponzinibbio, in all fairness, he'll keep fighting. You know, round 2 starts, Santiago Ponzinibbio still scrapping. Final round starts, he's still there. He got a really late stoppage against Alex Morono, which kind of, you know, highlights that he's still a dog. He's still a dog. And maybe that's the real difference in this co-main event. Maybe the real difference is Santiago Ponzinibbio is past his prime, so is Muslim Salikhov. But the main difference is, as the fight progresses, who's going to continue to fight? Because as the fight progresses, you have to keep fighting. You have to keep fighting. And that's not really what Muslim Salikhov does at this point. He just gets tired. So I'm going to side with Santiago Ponzinibbio based on Muslim Salikhov just having dusty cardio. And I've just remembered again, it's at high elevation. Guys, high elevation, your cardio is already bad. It's going to be even worse. So yeah. Give me Santiago Ponzinibbio and a stoppage. KO stoppage. Now moving into the main event, we've got Rose Namajunas, the former champion, Thug Rose, taking on Tracy Cortez, an undefeated prospect at the moment, right? Tracy Cortez, her wrestling, her grappling, her ability to bring the opponent to the mat and essentially drown the opponent, it's there to see. It's very much there to see, right? Tracy Cortez, she's good at what she does, right? And that's why she's undefeated. Now, it's going to be very difficult to beat Rose Namajunas if you're Tracy Cortez, in my opinion. Now, can Tracy Cortez win rounds? Can she take Rose Namajunas to the mat and essentially win rounds in this fight? She could do that, and she probably will do that. That has to be the game plan of Tracy Cortez. Because, guys, can Tracy Cortez stand and trade with Thug Rose Namajunas? Can she stand and trade? Can she stand and win points? No. No. Come on now, guys. Come on. Let's not assume that Tracy Cortez is going to stand with Thug Rose Namajunas. Let's not assume that. Let's not pretend that. That can't be the case. That won't be the case. Rose Namajunas, the girl that dusted Joanna Jędrzejczyk and then beats her in a rematch. A very close rematch, right? But the girl is so good on the feet. She is so good. What she done to Zhang, dusted. Rose Namajunas on the feet. Understand, this girl is a striking technician, a striking genius. Her stand-up, her timing, when she finds her rhythm, you know about it. So guys, if you're Tracy Cortez, do you try to stand? Do you try to go toe-to-toe with Thug Rose Namajunas? The answer is no. It's no. You've got to take Rose Namajunas to the mat. You've got to drown her with your wrestling. And you've got to do that round in, round out. Unless you can find a submission, unless you can find the back of Rose Namajunas, which is going to be a challenge, right? So if you can't find a submission, you've got to beat it with your wrestling round in, round out. And in my opinion, high elevation, short notice, former champion, I just don't see it. Give me Rose Namajunas to essentially hand Tracy Cortez her first loss. And sometimes in fighting, sometimes in life, and sometimes in chess, you have to learn. Sometimes your opponent is just better. They have more tricks. They have more experience. And you learn that. And you get better from that. So give me Rose Namajunas to dust up Tracy Cortez. As always, guys, drop down your main event, your co-main event, all that good stuff. Drop in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.